Welcome to today's event. We have with us a speaker, an eminent speaker, Kuruva Venkata Ramana Murthy. He walks the path where silence becomes voice and stories become medicine. A TEDx speaker and author of Inspire, Impact, Ignite. He believes leadership is not a title, but a memory waiting to be awakened. Through his platform, One in the Universe, Venkat, as he calls himself, weaves coaching, healing, and storytelling into soulful systems of transformation. His new book, AI Driven Leadership, invites us to reclaim our dharma in the face of machines. Rooted in Indian soil, yet global in vision, he guides those who dare to lead from essence, not ego. Apart from this book, which I mentioned, he has written other books like How Chakras Liberate You from Your Karma and The Art of Leadership Storytelling, Mastering Influence, Engagement, and Persuasion. These works are not standalone texts but extensions of his mission to elevate human consciousness through every medium available: books, workshops, design, or daily rituals. His writing is imbued with metaphors from mythology, lessons from nature, and stories from his personal spiritual quests, making it deeply relatable and universally relevant. Put your hands together for Venkat, please. The stage is yours.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for such a nice introduction, and thank you everyone for being here on a Friday evening. It means a lot to me that you have taken time to spend here to listen to the Rebirth of Leadership Revolution. Every speaker has his own perspective on every topic he speaks. Leadership has many definitions depending upon at which level of the organization you are, at what age you are, the definition changes. So there is no right definition, there is no wrong definition. Everything depends upon where you are in your life. So, from my perspective, this topic, the rebirth of leadership revolution, it's my point of view. So, there is no right, there is no wrong. This is just I'm expressing my voice, and I found this platform to express my point of views. Having said that, let me explain to you how this will be. This is basically a 90-minute talk. It's very long and it's very difficult to hold your attention. I hope I will do a good job in that. Since I'm a storyteller, probably I will use 5 or 6 stories that should be interesting to you. And then in the last 15-20 minutes, if you have any doubts, questions, please ask me questions. I would like to answer them to best of my ability, if because I don't know all the answers, to be honest. So if something comes off the curriculum, then I would say I don't know. Okay, so let me start. And throughout the presentation, I have my notes in my mobile phone. I'm a human. I'm not AI to be perfect to say everything. So I would be referring to my notes, or I would read out of my notes wherever I get stuck. And to help me, I have my PowerPoint. But PowerPoint is just for you to look at the slide. But explanation happens through me. So thank you very much once again, and I will start my presentation, the rebirth of leadership revolution. So there was a time when leadership meant standing in the front, commanding from top, and doing everything fast. But that era has gone. Now, a new era has begun. What is that? Leadership means not authority, but authenticity. Leadership means not control, but conscious choice. Leadership means it's not about holding a title or corner office, it's about holding your truth. So that's why leadership rebirth revolution. But before I move to the revolution part and the rebirth part, I want to give my point of view about how I define leadership. How I define leadership is basically, I've taken this from my book. Leadership not with authority but with authenticity. So let me give you a small story about it. The stories are real, the names are not real, obviously. A production manager joined a Pune factory very recently, and he was not like his predecessor. He was not shouting, he was not yelling, he was not manipulating, he was not giving management lectures. He called all the staff and he said, "What can I do to make your work more easy than it is?" When he said this, all the staff got shocked. They thought it is another management trap. But when they saw how he led them, he used to join them for lunches, he used to be on the shop floor, and over a period of time, that entire unit became number one in their entire factory because the staff could relate to his authenticity than to his authority. The second point is leadership is not about being right, it's about being real. This story is from Bangalore. Sorry. A startup CEO started yelling and shouting at her team during a launch trial. Then later in the evening, she realized her mistake and she called everybody on the Zoom and she said, "I'm extremely sorry that I shouted on you because I was shit scared. Okay, I was afraid because this is my first startup launch and I was afraid of it and I took it out on you, which is my mistake. And I apologize for it." And then there was stunning silence in the entire Zoom call because nobody has ever experienced that kind of a apology from the boss. So one intern said, "Ma'am, this is my first job and I have never experienced this. Even not even in school or college, nobody has told me about this. And if I ever wanted to become a leader, I would like to be real, okay, rather than right." My third point of view of leadership is not about the role, but the soul behind that role. So basically, what I'm saying is, I'm looking at leadership from a human perspective. What do I mean by that? Because mostly we focus on the titles and designations and corner offices, but we forget the person, the human behind that role. So I have one more story for that about a woman in Hyderabad. She has never held a position in corporate office, but when her husband lost her job and her son fell into depression, she stepped up. Not to make money, not to just make money, but she felt that as a team, they have to survive. And then she started doing home cooked meals. Very soon, neighbors joined, volunteers joined, investors joined, and today she's feeding 3,000 children every day through her venture. That is putting your soul before strategy. So these three point of views explain my point of view about leadership, which is again I want to reiterate that we are looking at the human behind the role. So the soul behind the role. So when I say leadership is a revolution, rebirth revolution, what are we really revolting against? We should know the villain. Who's the villain? Why are we doing a revolution about it? Okay? It is because many leaders they have led large teams, but at the end of the day, there's something missing in them. There's no satisfaction. There's no fulfillment. Okay? You've done everything in the management, whatever management has asked you, you've delivered it, but still you're not happy about it. And personally, when you went back home, it be- leadership has become a burden to you. That every day you have to show up. This is the old way of leadership. Actually, leadership is supposed to be a blessing. That's why I said inspire, impact, and ignite in the book, which means leadership should inspire change, impact behavior, and ignite action. Okay? But before that, we need to understand what exactly is leadership? Leadership is about, yes, it is about bringing change, impacting behavior, and then igniting action. But more than that, leadership is all about shared vision. Let me give you an example to explain that. A mother wants her son to study. That's her vision. The son wants to play video games. That's his vision. So when the mother forces the son to study, that is not a leadership movement. That's not a shared vision. Why? Because both of them are thinking in two opposite directions. But the day the mother's vision and the child's vision are one, that's a leadership movement where you don't have to convince somebody, you don't have to force somebody, but you still inspire change, you impact the behavior, and then you ignite the action. So, leadership, whenever I am mentioning leadership, excuse me, whenever I am mentioning leadership, what I mean by that is that there is a shared vision to inspire change, to impact behavior, and to ignite action. Yeah. So, what are we revolting against? We are revolting against neglected presence because we have glorified pressure and performance so much that we do not praise purpose, we do not praise truth, and we do not give any value to the person who is behind there. We want numbers, we want charts, we want data. Okay, if you're good, if you're a leader, I'm not saying data is not important. I'm saying data is also important, but at the same time, the person behind that is also very important. So, what are we revolting against today is we are revolting against praised pressure but ignored purpose. So, whenever you are putting pressure on somebody, always remember what is your purpose, because as leaders, we have teams, people who are looking up to us. So, pressure doesn't alone help us. Pressure doesn't alone inspire the change, impact the behavior, or ignite action. Yes, your authority will get a compliance from your team. Because you're the boss, they will say yes to it because they're supposed to say yes because you're the boss. But then the change that can bring when they align to your authenticity, when they align to your vision, is completely different. There's day and night difference between the results that you can accomplish when there is a shared vision between the team and the leader. So, what are we revolting against? We are revolting against speed where there is no stillness. Doing too much of innovation, creativity, running after all the technological advance can get you short-term results, but in the long run, it will burn out. You will burn out, your team burn out, because technology is changing every day. Today you said X is equal to Y, tomorrow you are going to say Y is equal to Z because technology has changed. So only running behind speed will not help us. So while we are all discussing this, a major shift happened in the last 2 years. It's not politics, it's not economy, it's AI. AI has entered in a much deeper way and a stronger way. Today we don't write emails. We are not thinking to write email. All you have to do is copy the text, paste it in ChatGPT, and then you will get a reply. You get a large document, you take that, put it into ChatGPT, it will give you summaries. If you're a student, you ask it to write 1000 word essay, it will write it in 20 seconds. You take 100 PDFs and put it into ChatGPT, it will tell you what is there in those 100 PDFs in 30 seconds. So a silent shift has happened. So how do we handle this shift so that the soul behind the role still is surviving, okay, not getting carried away by AI? Please, I'm not against AI because I myself use AI a lot, but I don't get used by it. That's the whole point. So that's the question that brought me to everything, to think about everything. If AI can think faster than human beings, then what are we doing here? Are we not supposed to be the most intelligent species on this planet? What we are doing is, because AI can get very, very fast in terms of decision making, in terms of data crunching, in terms of delivering anything that you ask it to. It can tell you about how to cook a biryani, but it cannot cook biryani, isn't it? Okay? That's the difference. That's where we have to focus on, that we have to use it to get the recipe only, not depend on it to teach us how to cook biryani. For example, if you go back to ancient times, rishis and maharishis and sages had this incredible power of seeing through their third eye, where they could see hundreds of years ahead, or they could see a person's all seven chakras, all auras, and then they can decide. Then they wrote a lot of stuff about it, what is going to happen and how it is going to happen. But just because they had this power of using third eye, they never depended on it. They never got used by that incredible power they had. They still lived a normal life. They still walked on earth. They were not flying. They could fly though, but they didn't. If they had to go from one place to another place, they still used. Buddha used, walking. So what can we learn from our ancient is that, yes, AI is incredibly powerful, but use it to our advantage rather than getting used by it. And most importantly, when we start using AI too much, what happens is there won't be any new production of neurons in your brain. Because every day, if you come across one new thing, one neuron gets produced, and a neural pathway is created in the brain, all the three system, autonomic and sympathetic nervous systems. So if you stop, like one mail has come, one proposal has come, you copy that, you put it in ChatGPT, the answer is there, you copy it back, reply it back, it's done. You have not learned anything. So when you have not learned anything, what is the disadvantage? What is the consequence of it? The consequence of that is that the brain will remain like that. And brain is one organ which constantly needs to be stimulated to become efficient. Its efficiency increases when it is faced with challenges. So since the challenges are getting solved easily by just copy paste, what is happening to the brain? So no fresh neural pathways will be formed. Take this for example, when you reach 60, 65, 70, 75, you start depending on your experience of life. You start everything based on what you have gone through the life, you've seen the life, so you start speaking about that. So there is less and less chance of you learning new stuff. But the day you completely stop learning that new stuff is the day the brain will completely depend on the past. But life is happening right this moment. If you have to be present in this moment, then you have to be present here. You cannot be taking decisions from the past when life is happening right now. Right? So that's why it is very important that we should not outsource our thinking to AI. So I asked a question. If AI is so good, and if AI is faster, AI is better, efficient, then what part of our leadership are we outsourcing to AI? Or rather, what part of the leadership cannot be outsourced to AI? That is when I realized awareness. Awareness cannot be outsourced to AI because you have to feel it. AI cannot feel. Integrity. AI cannot feel any integrity because if you ask it, do you think 500 rupees is greater than 1000? It will say yes. Do you think 500 rupees is less than 1000? It will say yes. Because based on your question, it responds. So integrity is something which cannot be outsourced. Then the last one I figured out is dharma. Dharma is your inner compass. What is right, what is wrong, what is just, what is not just. Your inner compass cannot be outsourced. So I made a framework out of that saying A for awareness, I for integrity, and D for dharma. So it became aid. And since leadership is not about control, it's about aiding the other person. So, how do we use aid in our day to day life so that we are not going to become the slaves of AI, or our energy should not get stagnant because you are using too much of automation instead of action? As I said, AI can mimic intelligence, but it cannot bring inner clarity. So let me tell a story. A very large tech giant in Bangalore, it was a startup. They got good funding and they are about to roll out a big project. Okay, the AI supported the data. AI has given the 6-month launch plan and everything. But then one day before the launch date, the CEO of the company realized that there is a major flaw in that plan. So instead of agreeing and going ahead with the data and with AI, the CEO, she had the guts to call it out and then stopped and reworked for the next 6 months and then relaunched again. And then it became a very, very successful project. So, what does it tell you is that AI can mimic intelligence, but it cannot bring the awareness in that moment. Context is not there. If you ask, there are 100 people in my organization and my productivity is only 40%, how do I raise my bottom line by 25% for this quarter? One of the factors, one of the ideas it will give you is cut your staff by 12%. It doesn't understand that. It understands only numbers. But those 12, in that 12%, there will be 5 people who are the anchors of the organization. So AI can run good numbers, use it. But don't allow AI to take decisions. The human behind that particular role must be able to take the decision. So when AI took over and there is a lot of this talk and this trending and everything happening, I asked myself, which I told you already, that what part of leadership cannot be outsourced to AI? And that is when I came up this framework: awareness, integrity, and dharma. So awareness is, what am I sensing? Let me tell you a story here. An executive comes home after a long day work. As soon as he comes home, he opens his laptop. His daughter comes running to him and says, Appa, are you at home or are you at office? That has shaken that executive so much that he immediately closed the laptop and he just sat next to the daughter. Not with any other agenda, just sat next to, just being present there with awareness. That was the leadership moment of that girl, which she remembered after 20 years. Also, because she inspired change, she impacted behavior, and she ignited action of her father without forcing him, without convincing him, by just being present there. She asked, are you at office? Are you at home? So that's awareness. Next is integrity. Integrity is, what is it that I am avoiding? Like, for example, if there is a conversation to be made, okay, your soul is craving for it, and it wants a conversation with that person, but you are avoiding it because you are afraid. Why? Because integrity belongs to the soul, not to the mind. The mind can only experience fear, and the soul experiences fire. So the fire always wants to go forward, whereas the fear always wants to go backward. So that is my second framework, integrity. And the third one, dharma. Dharma is, are you living from fear or are you living from fire? That's your inner compass. And these three things, awareness, integrity, and dharma, these are your superpowers. Superpowers more powerful than any AI can ever master. In fact, it is impossible to master because I have, you can say, I have copied from this, from our ancients, from text of Mahabharata and Ramayana. I ask myself, what are the three things that cannot be copied, that cannot be transferred, that cannot be duplicated, by a machine. These things, there might be many things, but this is my understanding that awareness, integrity, and dharma cannot be copied by any AI in any universe. It's this one I want to talk about because there was once I was coaching a CEO and he told me that his job is not to motivate people but to remove everything that demotivates them, which means that he should be listening more and talk less. And this I always speak in my coaching programs that if you are opening your mouth, open it only to bless people. Else, listen to it. Listen to your family, listen to your team, listen to your friends. This has actually transformed many organizations that I've spoken to. It removes all these unnecessary talk, unnecessary chatter. Because if you're opening your mouth, open it only to bless people. If you have something good and nice to say to someone, then open your mouth. Else, let them talk. Let other people talk and you listen to it. When you do that, what happens is your inner peace becomes your compass. It's your GPS. So you're not guided by external force, external technologies, external pressures, but you are guided by your inner compass that is coming from your soul. Now it has full, what do you say, full access to your mind where it can express itself. So far we've been doing reactive leadership where externally some demand comes and then you react to it. But here what happens when you ask, am I responding from fear or am I responding from my fire? Are these aligned to my purpose? Are these aligned to my conscious choices? Are these aligned to my awareness and integrity? Are these aligned to my ethics? Then I will respond. So I will not give in to pressure. Not just in corporate environment, but even in your family life, friendship, sports, everywhere. Leadership is not about just belonging to the elite community with wearing suits and sitting in corner offices. So to ensure leadership has a rebirth, when does it has a rebirth? When you follow the framework or when you are aware of yourself, when you have the integrity, when you have the dharma guiding you, then that is the rebirth that I am talking about. And I am representing this with a flame, leadership flame. Why? Because a flame always gives light, whether there is an applause or not. A flame always burns, but it never burns out. It is there all the time. And most importantly, a flame is forever guiding force for everybody because it always goes upward. A flame does not go downward. So leadership, when you equate that to a flame, it is all about giving light without expecting any applause, going always rising, which means raising, and then spreading the light without actually expecting anything. So that is why I titled this talk as Leadership Rebirth Revolution. So to summarize my talk, and if you want to remember this talk even after today, then only three things I want you to remember is, what are you sensing? Awareness. What is the conversation? What is the truth that you are avoiding? Integrity. And dharma. Are you operating from fear or fire? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor. You have given a great. Oh, yeah.
Closer, closer.
Yeah. Thank you. That is from transactional to transformational. Oh, that's right. Yeah. I think now I am audible. But presently, if you take God, you are talking about AI, and GORK 4 has already come in US. And what kind of leadership you think Elon Musk has, which is totally different from the aid model, and it is also followed with his own. One of the chiefs have resigned yesterday. I do find that AIDS was missing with the CEO going away. I was unable to explain that particular thing. But this kind of analysis, analytical ability, that is being applauded across the world. Now, how exactly you position the present day leadership?
Thank you for the question, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
First thing is, I don't have the knowledge or the expertise to comment on Elon Musk because it is far beyond my knowledge. But what do I know is I know about myself. And what do I know about myself? What awareness do I have? What integrity do I have? And am I operating from fear or fire? So that is the only thing I'll focus on, because there will be many Elon Musks that will come in future also. And it is good. They are shaping the reality that we live in. It is very good. But we should not reject it. At the same time, we should not accept it. We should be above and beyond that. Yes, it is happening. Observe it. But ask yourself, what am I sensing when I see this? Ask yourself, am I operating from fear or fire when I see this? So if you're operating from fear, you know what the answer is. But when will you operate from fire? When there is stillness. When you become still. Instead of chasing speed, because AI is basically speed, because it's too fast. Stop. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath and see what comes out. And then follow that dharma. It doesn't matter whether Elon Musk does it, whether Trump does it, or Sam Altman does it. It doesn't matter. But stick to your dharma. What is your inner compass showing you? What is it telling you? How comfortable are you when you sleep at night, knowing that you followed your inner dharma? That's your inner compass. So external realities might change, but stick to your internal reality, is what I would say.
Sir, actually, myself, Murali Krishnan, sir. Sir, you have told about context and then judgment, because the teacher built by the mathematics and logic framework. They don't have that, They don't have, like the logic don't have the context and then judgment, and then if we change that mathematical model, logic, by incorporating the post materialist science, that mainstream minds driven by that, that materialistic logic, actually, if you incorporate some, that consciousness is a parameter, if you, so then how they will work, actually, it's able to do that. That's my first question. The second question, the AI is the machine is learned by patterns, actually. If you're able to create the complex patterns in relationship, we are always step ahead than AI. This is too good.
I understand what you're saying. My response would be that use AI to understand the forecasting, but when to plant seed, you have to decide. AI cannot tell you. So AI will analyze all the patterns and it will tell you, okay, so and so date, so and so day, so and so month, it's going to rain. Okay? But having taken that forecast, you decide which seed to plant, which soil to choose. So use AI for that. It is good to give you the data crunching, and it will give you the summary, it will give you the takeaway. All that AI is good. But ultimately, you are the one who will decide what to do with the data. Don't blindly depend on the data and then go ahead and then do it. Because I will tell you, let's say for example, you are operating your HR department and you have fed the AI with a lot of resumes based on the company's past experience. Okay, what kind of people joined, what kind of resumes came, who got selected and who did not get selected. This is actually a practical example which happened with an organization in US. So what the AI did is, it has thrown the ideal resume, ideal candidate, how he should be, how he should not be. One intelligent executive from the department questioned it, saying, why is it favoring only people with certain academic qualifications from certain colleges? Because the data fed was like that. Okay, like for example, the data fed was that all people belonging to college A in a particular geography are very good. They decided that, and then they started recruiting from there, and they have fed the data into the AI. Now the AI is saying only people from that college and from that geography are good. Rest of them are not to be selected, and started rejecting it. Do you see the danger here? So yes, AI, but know what data you have fed into it. What context are you feeding into it? Obviously, you cannot feed 360-degree data into that, because you can only feed the past data. You do not know how the future will change. Like for example, a person who has finished BCom, because the curriculum has changed, he might be too good for commerce compared to the data that you upload today into AI. So there are many things. So use AI to understand, but you decide what to do.
Yes, I have been watching the last last two sessions on AI. One, the professor from US spoke, and you are speaking. You are painting as if the AI has to be subjugated by human conscience and all that. But I am for the past a number of months, I have been using ChatGPT. I find it very, very good. It even my best friend will not help me like that. So why should you picturize it as a villain to be subjugated, and why should you portray it as a villain and anti, as a negative force? I find it I'm running short of words. It is doing so much for me. I was surprised, that too free of cost. And
Ah, that's a nice movie. Yeah, I watched that. Even then, if you see, our revolution is against praising pressure over purpose. Our revolution is again glorifying performance over purpose. I have never said AI is the villain. I said I myself use AI. What I'm saying is, use AI, but decide for yourself. Okay? What AI does is, it crunches the data first, it responds to you first, but you have to decide whether you should give that response or not, because it doesn't understand the human elements, the emotions it doesn't understand. It's quite good. Like for example, let's say if you ask, what should I have on a Wednesday afternoon, okay, and then you feed it some data what you had last 3 days, it can tell you what you can have. But if you're having stomach pain and it causes allergy to you, it doesn't understand that. You have to tell it, correct? So what I'm saying is, when you feed something into AI, when the response comes, take it, review it, ask yourself AID questions, and then if you're good with it, go ahead with it. So that's the pause, that's the gap that we have to take. That's all I'm saying. Her. HER.
Oscar winning, Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
So, hi, brilliant talk by the way. And I'm a 19-year-old founder, building a startup on the sustainable agriculture space. And generally, I've navigated this situation more than once. Basically, when early stage founders tend to navigate on a leadership role, we find ourselves challenged by either team members being too elder, or any of the stakeholders we deal with are way too elder than us. And that tends to set apart an ego problem generally. So how can young founders actually lead with vision and conviction, rather than having to kind of reinstate their authority or title overboard all the time? And how can we actually engage with these older stakeholders with proper leadership?
It's a very good question, and it's a very common question among all the startup founders asking this. Even in another forum, I got this question. And the answer I gave, and I will give the same answer. The people who are senior in the organization, they always will support authenticity. They will not support authority. Okay? Use them as a speed breaker in your progress, because you guys are young. Okay? You are ambitious. You want to get things done yesterday. Whereas the seniors in the organization, they have seen the life. So use their experience as a speed breaker. Okay, not as an obstacle. When you go to them itself, you go with an open mind. Okay, he has done that, he has seen that, he's been there. Okay, use that experience as a speed breaker and slow down. And when they see that your authenticity about how you approach them instead of blocking them, every senior in an organization would like to see your growth and would like you to be successful in life. No senior in the organization will ever say, no, you should not grow. They just want you to be careful, okay, before you invest so much in a new software or in people or in expansion. Okay, they are just cautioning you. So I would, it's my point of view that I would advise that use them as a speed breaker. Slow down. Okay, what are they saying? Okay, how can I plug that? Now that I have latest technology, can I feed this data into this and see what comes out? So it's always good to have seniors in an organization who are well experienced and who are rigid and stubborn. It's good for you. But it depends on you how intelligent you are, how clever you are to use that stubbornness and experience at the same time to grow.
How far AI can come in finding solutions when you use judiciary and law enforcement, when egos and anger and all come between law enforcers and public. So public, because of their decisions, because of their emotions, they get become at their mercy without their fault. How do we mitigate that? Can it be done using AI in a different way?
Maybe not today, but in future, yes. But not 100%, but about 50-60%. It will give you guidance. Then probably we can use that and then go ahead with it. But not today.
My name is Alok. So I just want to make a couple of remarks. Like you mentioned, AI cannot make a biryani. It may give you a biryani recipe. I propose to you that within a couple of years we'll have robots which can do the biryani as well as any cuisine in the world. And the other part also that you commented was like it will not tell you the difference between whether 500 is less than 1,000 or no. I'm just saying this is a metaphorical example. I take your point though, that you should do something that AI cannot do. And leadership is one of the things, definitely. But what I want to ask is like human brains are, connections of neurons, right? That's what it is. And this thing can be simulated, right? Human brain is a physical thing and computers are also a physical thing. We can definitely simulate whatever is going on in the brain in a much smaller and faster network in the form of silicon, right? So what I want to ask you is whatever that you're saying, awareness, integrity, dharma, can be programmed as well. Okay, you can model that. You can, create multiple variants of the model and find out which one is better also, right? So what I want to ask is, will there ever be a time where even leadership can be done by AI?
You are right. You can tailor some data, some program, and you can write a code about awareness, about integrity, and about dharma. And then you can upload into AI, and it will respond exactly to that extent that you have uploaded the data. You have to understand this. Okay? It can only, if let's say for example, if the coding is between A and Z about dharma, so A and Z only it will respond to. If there is A plus 1 or A square, it doesn't. So dharma, why do I say that? Because dharma cannot be boxed. Dharma cannot be boxed. Awareness cannot be boxed. Integrity, how do you box integrity? How do you tell it, if someone does A, you respond B? What if someone does A plus and A minus? Which is still not discovered. Because awareness does not have a starting point, awareness does not have an ending point. Integrity does not have a start. Can we tell awareness starts at Chennai airport and ends at Leela Palace? We cannot say that. Because when something is so vast, okay, unmeasurable, unfathomable, how do you put it into AI?
No children are born.
Yes, sir. It can be done. Maybe in future it can be done, but as on date, as we are talking today, it is not done. So that's why this topic, the day that is done, I probably will come up with another topic.
I read a book called The Bonsai Manager, and there it talks about intuition being involved in decision making. Can ever intuition be imitated in AI?
There are two types of intuition here. There are people who wrote about intuition, and there are people who lived intuitively. Okay? So most of the literature that we have found is found by people who thought intuition is this. Okay? When you are getting into lift and suddenly you get a thought that the power is going to go, and people say, when the power goes, and they say, oh my god, my intuition worked. Okay? That's one type of intuition. What is the real intuition? The real intuition is not about receiving one thought. Intuition means inner tuition. That means there is a constant dialogue going on between the mind and the soul. Because the soul is teaching the mind how to operate. That is the real definition of intuition you will find in Vedas. Because people who had the third eye, ability to see, they have intuitively written all those slokas and dialogues and everything based on their intuition. So intuition will never tell you that you should buy this lottery ticket and you'll get 1 crore rupees. That is not intuition. The real intuition that we are talking about is that which, how do we differentiate? Okay, how do we differentiate between a thought that I receive and a real intuition is, when a real intuition comes, you are very excited. That is the first and foremost symptom. Second one is that you do not have to lift your finger, things will happen by itself. Synchronicity. That is the second. Third one is the action that is resulting from that intuition will benefit thousands and thousands of people, not just you. So if something is benefiting only you, then it is your mind cooking up the data. So going forward, what happens, because we are programming data into AI, so this second type of intuition is what is going to come up. So it will tell, let's say for example, if you upload all the data about a stock like Tata Consultancy Services, then based on that, it will tell you what pattern, when will it go up, when will it come down, what price, etc., etc. So that is one type of intuition. But should you be even thinking about TCS that comes into your own consciousness is your real intuition. Am I able to answer it?
My name is Ram Kumar.
Hello, sir.
The framework you gave, awareness, integrity, and dharma, is a very good framework for leaders. My question is, has it become more important only because AI is coming into play? I thought it's a very generic thing which any leader should do, right? Even pre-AI. So what is the emphasis here as far as this particular rebirth of leadership is concerned, is what I was thinking.
Let's remove AI from the equation. If you remove AI from the equation, then speed is gone. Currently, why is Elon Musk so famous? Because if you take the signal to noise ratio in his life, 18 hours he works every day and 18 hours is signal only, there is no noise. How is he able to do that? Through AI. That is speed. Okay? When it comes to speed, yes, AI is very important. And AI is causing this. What now everybody is looking at his performance and thinking that, okay, speed is what we have to focus on. So that brought me to ask myself, speed with stillness. is what will get you the results, not just speed. So somewhere Elon Musk has to slow down and rethink and then do whatever he's doing. Whether good, bad, ugly, it depends upon his actions. But speed without stillness, it's not going to get us results. So the whole emphasis of that framework was, and the whole emphasis on this talk about leadership is because over 25 years I watched people just running behind performance, pressure and speed. So I am saying go behind performance but with a purpose. Go behind pressure but be present. Go behind speed with stillness. That's all I'm saying.
Sir, our ancient saints, they talked about lot about integrity. That is integrity between body, emotion, and intelligence. Is it the same thing you are talking about? The integrity?
This integrity has a Sanskrit word that you are referring to.
Our ancient rishis and all, in their scriptures, they talked about body, intellect, and then emotion. These three things, they want to find out the integrity among these three things. I want to know whether you are also following the same thing or you are discovering something new.
Yes, I also wanted to. Integrity means that which cannot be divided. So you call a human as an individual, a person who cannot be divided further. For example, Aurobindo was an individual.
He was an intellectual.
Intellectual, and his body was full of light. So I assume he had integrity. Integral means it is joining. Differentiation means dividing. Individual, a person who cannot be divided at the core of his heart.
Since you brought Aurobindo, then I'm going little offline from the topic of leadership to Aurobindo. There are different levels of consciousness. Okay? Most of the human beings are stuck at the Mooladhara chakra. Then people go to sacral chakra. Then people go to solar plexus. Then people go to Anahat chakra. So when you come to Anahat chakra, that is when you will experience intuition and integrity. Aurobindo has broken all the knots of all the chakras, but he was stuck in solar plexus chakra, which is intellectual chakra. So his experiences, he saw Krishna dancing in front of him and he saw other people coming and light beings, etc., etc. All that happened from the perspective of the solar plexus chakra. So that has become intellectual. That's why. Coming back to your question, sir, my understanding and meaning of integrity equivalent to Sanskrit word is viveka. So the closest word in English is discernment, but I would like to call it integrity. Viveka is that, you can say wisdom also. So my definition of integrity is vivekam, viveka. So that body, mind and intelligence you are saying, okay, the connection between that integrity, that is called coherent oneness, where the body, mind and intelligence have become one. But there is something beyond all that which knows everything, that is, which is watching all this, the witness consciousness, which is watching the body, which is watching the mind, which is watching the intelligence also. All three are born out of that witness consciousness where this play is happening. So that is different. Here what I am referring to is viveka.
This word is proactive. That word is
Whichever helps you to get peace of mind, use the word.
Artificial emotion can be developed. Like artificial intelligence, we are familiar with that. Is it possible to develop artificial emotion? It is not possible.
Artificial emotion, we humans are very good at, no, sir. When relatives come to our house,
So good evening, sir.
yes.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. You talked about AID, the Dharma. I want to talk on that. Dharma as such, if you look at the Mahabharata, at various instances, my understanding of Dharma goes 180 degrees turn. How do you relate the dharma that you are talking about to such a changing flux of what is known as dharma?
So dharma can come from body. There is a bodily dharma, there is a mind ka dharma, and then there is a soul dharma. I am talking about that dharma which comes from your soul, okay, which is everlasting, okay. The dharma of Arjuna, he did not know that. So Krishna had to tell him what is his real dharma. But dharma, Arjuna's suffering was because he was believing his mind's dharma. Duryodhana's problem was he was believing his bodily dharma. He thinks because he is present in the body, he wants the kingdom. That is his body dharma. Arjuna's is mind dharma. So an elevated consciousness like Krishna only could clarify to Arjuna that what is bodily dharma, what is mind dharma, and then what is soul dharma. So what we are talking here is one which comes from deeper in the soul. That's why stillness. When does it come? When you stop running, stand, and then be present, then your dharma will be spoken. It won't come in email, it won't come in SMS, it just comes from within. And you know it. And it cannot be explainable, nobody can teach you that. It is natural to all of you, but cannot be taught. So that part of dharma is what I am referring to. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for asking so many questions.
Thank you, Venkat. That was a very refreshing talk where we have been listening to a lot of gyan on AI. So this is yet another perspective which I'm sure a lot of you would have enjoyed. Continuing this topic of AI, we have next week on 19th of July, we have Sriram Raghavan talking to us on demystifying the AI revolution. So probably a lot of these questions which have arisen in your mind can be answered in the next session too. And after that, on the 26th of July, we have a different topic, Money Doesn't Grow on Trees. This is by Lavanya and Arati. I think that is again another genre which you would like to explore. And in August, we have lined up a few other sessions. One would be on a book, Daughter of Two Rivers. This is a book discussion. We've already had this author with us, Arun Krishna. And on August 27th, we have the former Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. T.S. Krishnamurthy, talking to us of Beyond the Ballot. I'm sure all of you would grace the occasions and continue to support the CIC. Thank you very much.